Hey, good weekend to you. Welcome to Leading Edge. I'm Jerry Anderson. As you watch this, it's either Saturday night or Sunday morning, so you probably have little reason to go check your mail in the mailbox, right? Or maybe you should to see if something's arrived that actually you were expecting, I don't know, last Monday. Joining me is Martin Ramirez, president of Local 170, the American Postal Workers Union. Your local stretches all the way over to the Indiana line, covers some 106 different physical facilities, some 360 workers, give or take. Delays in getting the mail. We hear about them, but how real the problem? Have you personally, those you represent, encountered delays in getting your mail? Have you heard complaints to that effect, Martin?
Absolutely, all three. As the president, I'm over clerks that took those questions and concerned citizens, pretty agitated citizens at the front counter for those 3 weeks, starting really around July 20th till about a week and a half ago when our Postmaster General backed off some of his pre-mandated or his mandates on not covering overtime.
All right, let's jump in on that, because those did go into effect. You tell me it was late July. Your representative, the people you represent, got notices from their managers. The notices said this was about efficiency. It said no overtime. Do we know where those notices came from?
What we were being told through the email is they don't have hard copy, but they're getting directions from above all the way to the top. So when they say that in the postal lingo, that's Washington.
Have you witnessed mail machines removed from local facilities?
Yes, I have. Not removed, decommissioned. So they're still on the workroom floor, but I liken them to a car with no tires on them. The tires have been taken off. So they wrap them in that yellow tape, looks like a crime scene.
Yeah.
So they're still sitting there, but they're not plugged into the wall. They're not operational.
What do those machines do? In terms that I can understand.
Okay. So the machines run letters through the front, through the feed at up to 36,000 pieces an hour. So you can imagine how many, you multiply that by 5 machines times 36,000, you're seeing what we could produce in an hour that now we're not.
You can no longer process the same amount of mail you could do before these machines were decommissioned.
Correct. Even if we wanted to or had to, we can't now with those machines now being decommissioned.
Postmaster General says they're not coming back.
That's our concern, because we hear after the election they're going to leave the building, if not ever come back. And this is where our concern is that the election is big. We get it, but at the same time we feel like we're kicking the can down the road till after the election, and then the American public's going to go back to what we seen a week and a half ago for 3 weeks, delays that are unreasonable, especially when you're talking medicine, especially when you're talking veterans.
Well, that's part of the point, and I'll get you there. It is an election year. You mentioned the word, we can't, it's the elephant in the room over there. And I shouldn't say elephant because that's the symbol of the Republican Party. Somebody's going to think I'm being partisan here.
Right.
It's an election year. Certainly partisans have weighed in on the motivations for these postal changes. But is that something, Martin Ramirez, President, Local 170, is that something your membership actually picked up on first?
No, honestly, my membership and our team, the e-board here at 170, we weren't looking at politics. This was personal. This became personal real fast, because regardless of what political affiliation you have, when you say we can't do something that we've been doing for 245 years, where we predate the country, so it got personal fast with us.
With the postmaster backing off on the overtime ban, but saying there will be no return of these machines, how are we doing now on shortening up the time it takes to get the mail from point A, which got real delayed, to point B, the shorter service? I want you to mull that over. I'm going to take a break. We'll pick it up there on Leading Edge right after this. He's Martin Ramirez, President, Local 170, American Postal Workers Union. I'll be back right after this on Leading Edge. We're back on Leading Edge. Martin Ramirez is president of Local 170. As the sign over his right shoulder says, American Postal Workers Union, representing between 300 and 400 workers, stretching all the way over to the Indiana line. I asked you guys saw the delay in mail. The Postmaster General backed off on things like the ban on overtime. I want to see how are we narrowing that time back down to the old days? How good are we doing? How are we doing on that, even with these machines now taken out of service?
Now, I can only speak for Toledo personally.
Fair.
That we're seeing it catch up here in Toledo, but we're getting the delayed mail from Detroit and other cities where they had more machines taken out, and they're now producing a lot more of our mail. So we haven't seen a lot of our mail come back that was taken away during that period. So we can't tell you, I can't tell you exactly what delays we're seeing from what we don't get yet.
Yeah.
What I can say is that at the city stations, the mail has stopped sitting on the floor. Those 3 weeks, I seen something for the first time in 31 years that frankly, we were all aghast at, is that mail was sitting on the workroom floor and it sat there for 2-3 days because that particular carrier was out with COVID or was out with on leave. Their stress, whatever the reason,
yeah.
We just never seen it like that.
Wow. Can you do this for me quickly? Explain how our mail, you know, folks, it used to be sorted, I believe, in Toledo down there in South St. Clair, but saw that process moved up to Pontiac, Michigan, which I have some name up there, Metroplex or something.
Metroplex.
Yeah, okay. Can you explain how our mail can actually be sent and seen in Toledo, not only in Pontiac, but in Cleveland and Indianapolis before it finally gets delivered right back to us?
Right. Like we say, first of all, we're still open here in Toledo. We never closed in 2012. A lot of people thought we closed. We feel like Gilligan on Gilligan's Island waving our hands saying we're still here.
Okay.
We've been here, but at a reduced production rate we used to have. So the mail comes from the south, up 75. It passes us, goes up to Detroit Metroplex or Detroit downtown post office. Well, they were hit with COVID too. So when their folks started calling in, calling out, they ran their mail first, which we understand, and I'm not banging them for that.
Yep.
But then they couldn't get to our mail. They sent it back down to, not to us, to make that elbow move to the left and head east to Cleveland. Now, Cleveland experienced the same thing. So depending on the day of the week and how much mail, parcel especially, they couldn't process. They sent it back the other way to Indianapolis. So people were reporting at the front counter that, Husker, my package is taking a trip to all 3 of these cities. And here we're saying, drop it here in Toledo, put our machines back. We had a parcel sorter 9 years ago or 8 years ago on this workroom floor that could have sorted those. They took it out.
It's amazing when you think mail intended for Toledo goes right past us, whoom, then whoom, then whoom, and then finally gets to us.
What's even more amazing, Jerry, is we call that efficiency. And we're seeing more of that going on. So when you're looking at this thing from 31 years here,
yeah.
Nobody asks you when you first get here. You don't ask people, how's this work? What is this going? That's frustrating.
Yeah. While being sensitive to everyone who receives, I don't know, prescription drugs through the mail or retirement checks through the mail. I am most concerned that everyone who is eligible, I want to underscore eligible, gets to vote and to have that vote counted. With a November 3rd election day looming, Martin Ramirez, you're out there 30 plus years, front lines. When would you suggest everyone who want to vote by mail have that ballot in the mail?
1 month ahead, October 3rd. To me, that's because here's what I'm not, for the first time in my 31 years, somebody's rattled my confidence all the way from the top to tell someone, oh, do it in 2 or 3 days before and you'll be fine. Yeah. I used to have that. I used to have that confidence that in 3 to 5 days, you could mail something one side of the city to the X, it'd end up the second day. That confidence has been rattled, and that's a shame.
What we're going to do on this program, folks, as we move forward, I was on the phone with the Board of Elections late in this past week. They are going to be mailing out ballots October 6th based on Martin Ramirez's timetable. I mean, make your choices, mark your ballot, turn it around as fast as possible. I am told that anything by mail absentee has to be postmarked by the day before the election. That makes it November 2nd, but it still has to arrive within 10 days after. If it's not, it won't count. I think what we're going to keep hitting on, folks, is it's not Cook County, Chicago, Illinois, where they say vote early and often. That's illegal. But voting early, I think, is going to be very important. My thanks to Martin Ramirez, president of Local 170, American Postal Workers Union, for keeping us on the leading edge of goings on in the postal system that affect the delivery of our mail, but which could also impact the very important approaching election. Best to you and yours, sir. Thank you.
Can I close with this?
Do it.
We'll make sure every ballot gets out of this building on time, given the chance. I can tell you these people here are committed to the service.
Got it.
We're not a business, we're a service, and we're committed.
I appreciate that. That's a good way to leave it right there, Martin Ramirez. And when I come back, thousands head back to college in our area against the backdrop of an ongoing pandemic. Hey, what could go wrong, right? We'll find out when Leading Edge continues next.